We are keeping this introduction very short because recently we have been celebrating the newly crowned Miss South Africa. When she speaks, you will listen. And we have the pleasure to be in the presence of royalty today. Phenomenal family. Clap for your Miss South Africa 2021, Lalela Mswane. Woo woo! I mean, it may just be the two of us, but we can still celebrate the win. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling amazing, thank you. I really, really am. I think I've gotten a bit of time to grasp what happened because it's my 8th day, if not 9th day in office. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm very excited.
I can only imagine though. Have you had a chance to sleep?
On Saturday,
Really?
yes, I actually had the day off and I spent it with my mom and my sister. And they actually came and they cooked for me and it felt so nice. It felt like I was at home.
Cooked for you in the new apartment?
Yes.
Oh, in Santa, girl. How's that been like?
I can't believe it. Like when I wake up, I'm like, I'm here. It's me. It's mine.
This
for
is my
the year.
home.
It's amazing.
Is it the first time that you're staying by yourself?
It is. Ever in my life because I'm also the baby at home. So everyone's like, oh, is she fine? Will she eat? Will she survive? And I'm like, I'm fine.
I mean, Lalela is such a beautiful name and it's so impactful. Who named you?
My dad, and I was born around Easter time. It's actually Lalela Pasiga, which means listen to the commemoration of the Passover because it is Easter. But growing up, I think writing Lalela Pasiga is just, but my registered name is actually just Lalela.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And look at you now. You are in a position where we as South Africa and the globe are literally at a standstill to listen to you. How has the moment since the crowning been for you?
Oh, wow. I think just the support and the love I've received is so overwhelming. I feel so validated. Everybody has just welcomed me with open arms. I'm only just grateful. I can only be grateful.
Is it the first time you've entered a pageant of this sort?
Actually, in 2015, I was in matric and my high school asked me to represent the school in a matric pageant. So I did, but I was a bit like, I was skeptical at first because I'm not really like a pageant girl. And then I entered and I was first runner-up. And then that was the only pageant I sort of participated in prior to Miss South Africa.
Wow. And how was that experience like in comparison to a pageant of this magnitude?
It was a joke. You can't even, I think also it's just more fun because it wasn't more fun. You know why?
Why?
It was so catty. And it's quite weird because we were just 18-year-olds. We were kids, But it was so competitive and so catty. Whereas now, I actually view Miss South Africa as an empowerment platform for women. Like the sisterhood is great. It's been the most amazing and fulfilling experience ever. So you can't even compare. It's chalk and cheese.
I mean, I've watched some of your interviews, obviously, and you've spoken very candidly about your youth and what you had experienced at that time, especially going into the modeling game. You spoke about bullying. How did you manage to overcome that at that point?
It's quite unfortunate, and I always say this, that it took that particular thing to get me like into a great headspace and confident. But literally, I felt so ugly and I had self-esteem issues up until first year of varsity. Number one, I love looking like good. So, varsity is like the first time you get to wear your own clothing and sort of express yourself in that regard. So I was like, okay, I'm going to look nice every single day. And my first day of orientation week, these cool senior guys on campus are like, ooh, who's that? And from that day on, I was like, oh, okay, girl, you're pretty. Something, okay, you're fine.
I've got something going
something's
on.
there. We can work with that. It took that, literally male validation, unfortunately, because I was torn down all my life and I was just like, okay, I'm an outlier, I'm dark, I'm tall, I'm skinny. And anytime I had expressed, like when you're a kid, you're like, I have a crush on, and then the whole school would go buzzing, like, how dare she have a crush? Who does she think she is? She's so ugly. She can never achieve anything. But it really just took literally one day and 3 really popular guys at Tux to say, oh, she's so pretty. And I was like,
that kind of validation can literally take you, through so many emotions, self-reflection as well. And it's just so unfortunate that kids are mean. Hey?
They're harsh.
Kids are mean. So in that moment when you are going through all of these things, what are you thinking to yourself? Are you thinking, whatever, or do you internalize it, or do you do something to kind of get yourself out of that headspace?
So I always say throughout all the trials in my life, dance has been a constant. It's been one space that's so liberating for me. So when I was going through whatever in the outside world, when I entered the studio, I could just be. It's like my saving grace. It's always been that comforting source, that tool. I feel loved. I feel free. I feel like I can be myself. And I also had a very supportive family. My mom lived through my experiences with me, you know, and she's been very, very supportive. So that's been amazing.
I mean, the support of family is very essential, especially in the developmental stages of any child. So what drew you to ballet at age of 9?
You're gonna laugh. You are going to laugh. So pink has always been my favorite color. I saw a group of girls wearing pink and I'm like, I like what they're wearing, and by virtue of that, I want to do what they did. Literally did not know what ballet was, I promise you. And then I asked my teacher, I was like, what are they doing? Because they're wearing my favorite color and it's so cute. And then she's like, it's ballet. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I told my mom, and we went and bought the uniform and everything, and I went for my first lesson, and literally the rest is history. I thrived.
Till this day, you
Not
dance?
as seriously. I stopped pursuing it professionally because I focused on LLB. I think in South Africa, we don't really have that privilege to pick the arts as a career in which you'll really flourish in, unfortunately. So I had to be smart about my choices.
Very strategic. And you touched on, we're going to get into it a little bit later on in your answer, about the personal development of each South African, which is very essential in the development of any country as well. So outside of pursuing ballet, what drew you to LLB specifically?
I've always had a sense and a passion for equitable outcomes and justice and fairness. Since I was young, since I could remember. So I feel like it's innate. Obviously at that time, I couldn't say, I have a passion for justice, because you don't really know what that is. But when I just reflect, and in hindsight, I'm like, in every single situation, whether really just tiny or big, I was always set on, no, but why are you getting this? Why is yours this way? Why can't it be equal? Why do you deserve this? Or just trying to be the mediator in all things. And then it just dawned on me, law is it. Like, I need to be a legal practitioner. And I was never a kid that was like, I want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor. It's always just been law.
Since day one. You've known, although you couldn't really put a finger to what it was when you were a bit younger. Yeah, so it sounds like you've had such like a colorful life. You're very multifaceted, and I think a lot of people and youth can relate to your story, particularly with, you know, how you choose to live your life. You know, it's all in different disciplines, dance, modeling, and LLB, and now you are Miss South Africa.
Am I?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. We're going to get into Miss Universe shortly, but the journey of Miss South Africa, how does it start?
I actually initially wanted to enter in 2020, but I just felt I'd be restricted with my year of reign because of COVID. And then this year I woke up and I was like, this is the year, because I don't think you'll ever be ready, right? Like, you'll never reach a state where you're like, I'm ready. And I thought, if not now, then when? If not me, then who?
That's the question.
And then I entered in May. Yes, in May. And I prayed, and I was like, send. And I was like, ah! And I actually
this is the audition video.
This is, the initial, like, the entry. I entered, and then I received so much love and support, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I've done, but cool. And then top 30 became a thing, and I was like, what? And then top 10, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is, you know. But I think people underestimate the journey, because all they see from a social media perspective is just sponsor content and shoots, and it's so much more than that. There are workshops behind the scenes. We are like groomed. We impart so much knowledge, and they actually want you to leave feeling so empowered and in a position where you could never ever say, I lost. Even though you were not granted the crown, you could never ever lose, because you've gained so much.
And a lot that you can also impart to the real world outside of the pageant. I mean, I've heard previous queens as well say it's more than just a pageant. It's literally a moment of empowerment as well. How has it empowered you?
Oh, wow. I actually said I've grown more in 2 months than I have, no, in 2 months, yes, than I have in 3 years.
Wow.
And that just speaks volumes, because, I don't know, I've been stretched in so many ways. And I knew that come the 16th of October, I call my name, be crowned or not, I literally am ready to take on anything in this world because the exposure you get, like first of all, I had dreamt of working with so many brands that are now approaching me even prior to the crowning.
Wow.
I can't even speak about the doors it's opened. It's been truly amazing. I am empowered in literally every sense.
And earlier you mentioned that we don't see the full scope of what happens behind the scenes when it comes to grooming and everything that it entails rather. What are some of the things that, or rather challenges that you were faced with in this process towards the crowning?
I think self-doubt. It was more like a self-doubt thing because it's a roller coaster. And also you become sensitive. Like you could say something and then I sit there and I'm like, well, what does she mean? Does this mean? The overthinking is a lot. And I think with everybody, it is. So you tend to count yourself out sometimes. You're like, ugh, I'm out, it's fine. And for me, it was genuinely just self-doubt and overthinking that I found as a great, great challenge. And also keeping up with the deadlines because there was a lot to get through. And also life is also occurring. You know, you've entered this competition, but you have other commitments that you still need to see through. So that was a lot.
I can only imagine. But what was life shortly before Miss South Africa? You had just graduated from tax. And in between that interim period, what were you up to?
So I actually studied conveyancing with the Law School of South Africa after obtaining my LLB. So I just graduated in May from that, and I was looking for articles. And then I thought, okay, should I actually get employed? I can't really devote my time to Miss South Africa fully. So I was just chilling and resting from hard work of studying for 5 years.
It is important to kind of take that step back and reflect, because varsity can be hectic in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to your mental health.
Yeah.
We are, I think, in the most confusing and difficult time in South Africa, and I think the globe, in light of the global pandemic that we are currently going through. As you've mentioned, Ushudu has done a great job with regards to focusing on mental health, particularly. Nozo Zibini, prior that, she kind of also was, it was the initial stages of the pandemic. What does it mean for you to kind of also carry that weight?
I mean, the other day I was told, I thought I'd have it easier because I was like, oh my goodness, Shudu had such a big task, you know, having to have her year of reign during this pandemic. And everybody was like, but now things are changing and you sort of need to show us how to carry on in this new, you know, normality that we currently under. So the pressure's a lot, but I'm trying to sort of just run with it and make with it as I can, best as I can. Yeah.
And during the period of Miss South Africa, obviously, what was your kind of, what psyched you up to be in the moment, in those moments of self-doubt, you know, reflection, looking around you and you're kind of intimidated by everyone else? If you were, what psyched you up? Is it a song or do you just break into dance?
You'll find me dancing. Literally, Kaylin, she was in the top 10. Her and I would be dancing any opportunity we could get. But one thing that really kept me, you know, was prayer. I'd like literally say a little prayer and just ask for peace. Because I think a lot of people, even when watching the crowning moment, everybody's like, you look so chilled. And I'm like, I wasn't chilled. I was just at peace with anything. And they were like, were you confident? Were you that confident? I'm like, no, it was just peace. Whatever happened, I was just at peace. I was going to be happy for anything, really. So I think prayer, definitely prayer.
You were in a moment to be able to kind of embrace anything that was to come after that moment. Yeah.
Because what could I have done? It's not in my hands. I've done literally everything. I had done everything I could, everything in my mind.
The nerves, Lalela, though. I mean, when Upia posed that question about the elections being around the corner, in that moment, what's going on in your mind?
I heard elections and I was like, and then the audience went, ooh, and I was like, guys. And then I actually heard the question and it was about leadership and the qualities of a leader. And that's a question I love answering and it speaks to me. So I was like, oh, thank you, Lord. Not like it was easy, but I was like, I'm confident in this,
in this part of everything. You spoke about leadership that is basically focused on the development of the country. Why?
Because I think the people are the country. We need to invest in the people. I spoke about a leader that's self-aware because I think that's super important, but accountability for me and ensuring that that's
Girl.
That for me makes a phenomenal leader. Like I am a firm believer in that.
I also truly believe in that. And we tend to kind of try to separate politics and leadership, separated from, you know, the psychology of it, the developmental aspect of it, the economic aspect of it, but it's all encompassing. And you also touched on the unfortunate high rates of youth unemployment right now. Why was that important for you to shed light on?
Unemployment, because it affects our youth particularly. That really breaks my heart. Also because I've experienced that and all the adverse effects that come with unemployment. It's a very personal thing to me. And I mean, when my dad passed away, my mom at the time wasn't employed and had 3 kids to sort of, you know, look after. And just your standard of living dropping and the effects of that. And also having obtained my LLB, I thought, oh my goodness, after I'm just going to walk into a firm and live happily ever after. And that wasn't the case, you know. There's struggles that, you know, one faces, especially with unemployment. So for me, it was a no-brainer, also because it was perpetuated by COVID. So many people have lost their jobs. And for me, it was a no-brainer currently in South Africa that I focused on.
I mean, in your reign, how do you wish to kind of address that?
So I've thought about a campaign, and the Miss South Africa organization and I are sitting down and drafting the particular steps that will come with that. But basically it aims to impart entrepreneurial skills, in aim to empower the youth, sort of take back your own power, your dignity, as opposed to waiting to the state to give you seats at the table, build your own tables. So I'm excited about that.
I'm also very excited about it. I mean, hearing young people in leadership positions speak so passionately about the development of youth, about, you know, entrepreneurial skills, because we do have to find alternative ways to grow ourselves, to, as you've mentioned, regain that sense of dignity. And also, my condolences for your father's passing. When was that?
In 2010. I was 12, turning 13, yeah.
Oh,
so
wow.
very like, you know, important time in my life where I'm discovering self and I'm comprehending the world in a new manner, you know. So it was rough, but I'm here today and I think he's proud. I know he's proud.
100% proud. You speak so highly of your family. I mean, your mom as well. When you saw her after the crowning in the crowd, what did that feel like?
She wasn't in the crowd. I was actually rushed to a room where I got to see my aunt and my mom. The lady had no words. She just cried. She just cried.
What can she say?
I don't know. She had no words.
What can she say, you know? And just the pride, Lalela, when people watch Miss South Africa or anything of that magnitude, you can see how important this moment is. And you can see that it's about to flip, you know, life around. Have you already embraced that aspect of this journey?
I think I'm struggling with that a little bit because it's actually such a drastic change. I'll be honest. I'm coming to terms with that. It was literally like this, and it's like sink or swim. And I'm just like
floating, paddling out, trying to keep your head above water. No, but you've been doing it very gracefully. You've been doing it wonderfully, and now a new challenge awaits you, Miss Universe. Okay, 2021. How are the preparations coming along?
It's actually been the most exciting thing, right? Because now the focus is on you, not 9 other people.
Yes.
Literally, it's all about you. And I actually get to represent South Africa on an international... I can't wrap my head around that. You know, I've dreamed of that since. And now it's like happening.
Imagine. You are a living testimony of dreams coming true. When you are navigating life within your purpose, how does that make you feel as an individual?
I feel so fulfilled. And I also feel like validated, because I was growing up, it was really dark for me. And I thought I couldn't achieve a lot of things because people told me, the world told me that I couldn't achieve a lot of things. So I actually wanted to have a watch me now moment. And I'm definitely having one. It's there. I'm living it.
And we're rooting for you like, yes, girl, to all of those people who were bullying you in high school, look at me now. You are just so incredible. Before we let you go, building up to Miss Universe, what are you kind of working towards? What are you training for? How does it work?
So right now, currently, because it's like I think the early stages of the game, I've been focusing particularly on the wardrobe part because I mean there's a lot. There's like the national costume, the gown, and you really want to stand out. You want to represent South Africa, but also show your personality through what you're wearing. So there's been a lot of that. And photo shoots in preparation for Miss Universe currently. But I know there'll be more serious stuff like the talking and accents that are upcoming. So I'm quite excited for that.
That's truly exciting, and we know that you are going to hold it down very well and represent South Africa and your family incredibly on the big stage. Lalela, to young girls, to young children actually, who are watching right now and who can relate very strongly to your message and your story, what can you tell them, especially in adverse times, if they see no light at the end of the tunnel?
So at the beginning of each year, I give myself a word or a theme for my year. And this year I picked relentless, right? I vowed to be relentless in pursuit of anything and everything that I desire. So I implore every young girl to do the same, to be relentless in pursuit of anything that they desire. They're capable, they are so worthy. And since the beginning of time, they've had everything within them to achieve anything they wanted. It was unfortunately the world that told us we did not.
But now we have that power to take it back.
And it's literally time to.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us here on Phenomenal TV. You are incredible, and good luck with your future endeavors, particularly with Miss Universe. We'll be here at home rooting for you. And all of us at home, man, we need to be out there in support of Lalela. Show some love, show some support, and I hope that you have learned a thing or two about your pursuit in life.